Personally, I was brought up in an education system where we were taught that the future is determined. So we can more or less predict the future, and if we are good enough, we can make better predictions, so we can do better designs. And I like very much this image. It's a representation of a human body from 1927, where the human body is seen as a machine, as a perfect machine, where every piece does its job, and where in the head there is this decision-making, in the tummy there is this food processing, the heart is like an engine that moves blood around. And I think that mentally, this image has been very important for the last century. It has helped us progress as society. It has made transplants, organ transplants, possible, because we think that we can take out a piece of our body and replace it with another piece. And this idea has been brought up by Pierre-Simon Laplace, who in the 1800s was thinking that if ideally we could have an intellect able enough to know the exact position of every particle in the universe and know their exact movement, we could see where all these particles came from, and we could also predict where all these particles will go. So we could see the past and we could predict the future if there was enough data, if we can say it like this. So our cities, I'm sorry for making so simple, but if we try to simplify it, our cities were planned based on this idea. So the more data we have, if we know the number of people that are going to inhabit a city, we can plan it in order to have enough infrastructure, enough schools, and things like that. But at some moment in my life, we started to think that the future was chaotic. So when the system, the communist system in Albania collapsed, we saw that everybody was trying to make room for themselves, build house for themselves. And apart from being very annoying, some people started to become interested in understanding if there was any kind of logic on this thing. And some of our colleagues and me myself, we started to count these additions. And we started to understand that there was some logic behind, even though the individual person that was building just an extra room for his kids or her kids was not aware of the situation. There is a higher density in the city center, there is a lower density in the outskirts, there is a certain ratio between used footprint and density. So there was some intelligence behind. So maybe the future is just complex. There are some rules that we need to maybe to understand. And so if we can understand the rules that govern such complex systems, maybe we can make better projections of the futures and projects about the future. And we moved in a kind of opposite direction to what was discussed during the AI panel. So we started to understand that there are even some stupid creatures that can make intelligent decisions. So instead of feeding a machine with large data amounts, we started to think how this, I'm sorry for the fish, but this stupid animal that like a fish, can make intelligent decisions, and how ants colonies can create such structures. And the interesting fact is that they lack a central governing body. So there is no kingfish or king ant, even though there are queen ants, but they don't make decisions. They do other roles. And interestingly, architects have been always thinking about this issue. So how to govern such a complex organism as a city or as a territory. And apart from the great job that Jane Jacobs has done, there is a part in this book where she says that cities are organized. It's a problem of organized complexities. And if you go back, you can, to the boring part, you can see that other scientists in different fields were trying to define this, the kind of problems that the problem is. So we can say that there are problems of simplicity, there are problems of disorganized complexity, and there are problems of organized complexities. Problems of simplicities are how two bodies move in space. So Newton created wrote down that formula where we can understand how bodies move with respect to each other with a quite relatively easy way. When these bodies are three or more, the things start to become a little bit more complicated. There is this famous movie lately, the three-body problem, and the idea starts to come out of this problem. So when there are three bodies moving around each other, if there are four bodies moving around each other, it's not always so easy to make prediction about their movement. From the other side, in disorganized complexity, we can make quite good predictions about weather, for example. We don't know the exact location of each drop of rain in a certain moment, but we know more or less how the entire system will move and will evolve. And from the other side, there are these organized complexity problems, which I think the city can be associated with. So, for example, how these patterns emerge in nature. Is there a code written in the DNA of the tigers or the fish that says to each cell exactly where to be and what to do in each moment? Because if that is the case, a city could be governed in a similar way. Apparently, Alan Turing, the guy of what's the movie called? Beautiful Mind, I think. It's a really nice movie. Here he proved that these patterns can be controlled by a simple set of rules, like the simple set of rules that control the movement of fishes and of ants. And if we have a simple set of rules, we can also create simulations with those rules. So with very few lines of code, we can see how different patterns can be generated and how by changing the set of rules, we can create different patterns. So passing from zebra to clownfish, it's the same code. We are just changing some inputs. So we are proving, we as society, as humankind, we are proving that the way that patterns are created in nature, it's kind of, that complexity emerges as a continuous application of very simple rules. And in this way, with simulation, we can also predict how epidemics can evolve, and also how cities can grow. It's just a simple set of rules where we can simulate the shape of the city. And Michael Beatty has been writing and discussing a lot about this idea. And with the same set of simple rules, we can also simulate very complex behaviors of fish schools. And computers are very good in applying rules. So with AI, we're trying to make computers be creative, but from the other side, we were working on this idea of computer not being so creative, but being good in calculating. So if we want to calculate, we can simulate the movement of birds, of fishes, and have them walk around. So this is what we're doing in classes at POLIS University. We're trying to make students design with those things. So these things are generally called agents. So agents because they have a kind of agency that can make some simple decisions based on a set of rules that we apply. So we can say to this agency, in this case, there are only three rules. They can move freely, but we can control how much they are attracted to each other. So if we say that you are attracted to others, 10, they will all be like this. They will move all together. But if we say that you are not attracted to anyone, you are repulsed, we can have such kind of movements and conditions. And so we are not sure if birds really follow these rules, but we can simulate those movements. And the simulation is being more and more acknowledged as a third scientific method. So if we are able to simulate something, most probably the rules that govern that complex system are the ones that we are simulating. So, so we can simulate how very simple agents move in a very simplified urban environment. So we can add, at some points, some attractor points, which can be the opening of a new bar in a neighborhood, or the opening of something fancy. What is fancy nowadays? A library, or... and we can see what are the effects of concentrating activities in certain areas, and what can be the effects of spreading these activities more in a neighborhood. There are areas of the city where we need to be very dense, when you need some density in order to get some economical activity happening, but there are areas where we need to have more activities spread out. So we can simulate to a certain extent what happens in these areas when we do certain interventions. And of course, when we change the kind of behavior of the agents. So we can make the agents be more Mediterranean. We can make the agents be more Nordic. And we can see how this simulation can work. And what we do with students, we have been working during the last years in this area of Lana River when it goes out of the city center. So in the city center, it's very near, it's a channeled river, it's very controlled and organized, but when it goes to the outside, it becomes a kind of wild environment. And also the city, we are in the edge of a controlled city, a kind of wild and self-organized city. So we think that it would be the best case or the best place where to test some of the of our agents. So to make them move around these areas of the city where major infrastructure is being improved now, but we can have a kind of look into the future by creating some simulation of how people will perceive this kind of interventions. And if we need, for example, a very banal question, if we need a pedestrian bridge, where would be the best place to put it? So our students use this algorithm in order to generate these models, so they make the agents move into that area, and then over that they try to understand and to extract some information and to make some speculation about what would happen if we put a bridge here and a bridge there, or if we open a public space in a particular area, or if we design a building that is shaped in this way, will it improve the fluxes or will it block the fluxes? Do we want the fluxes in that area? And how can we make people move in a certain way into the city? So it's just some example of how this approach can be turned into a design. And the interesting part is that the algorithm is it's the same for everybody, but all the students are able to somehow use it in different ways and put their own creativity in it and do the work that architects do. So, thank you.